Loretta's going to explain the first part.
Okay. Okay, so first the dynamo is going to hit the blue ball, which is gravitational potential energy transferring to rotational kinetic energy. And then second, the blue ball hits the lever. So just as falling, it is rotational kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy transferring to linear kinetic energy. And when it hits the lever, the energy change is linear kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy transferring to rotational kinetic energy. So the lever is going to hit the orange ball, and that is rotational kinetic energy to linear kinetic energy. The orange ball hits the first domino, which is rotational kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy, and that will transfer to rotational kinetic energy. When the domino hits the rest of the dominoes, it is rotational kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy transferring to rotational kinetic energy. When the last domino hits the bucket, it is rotational kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy, because both energy, and the gravitational potential energy is both the energy that the domino has itself plus when it hits the can and drops down. And so that energy transfers to linear kinetic energy. The bucket will fall and it'll hit the lever, so that is linear kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy, and that will convert to rotational kinetic energy. The lever hits the other lever, and that is rotational kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy, converting to rotational kinetic energy. The lever will hit the can, and that is rotational kinetic energy to linear kinetic energy. And then the can will hit the box lid. That is linear kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy transferred to linear kinetic energy. And now the box lid shakes a little, thus breaking friction of the toy car sitting on the lid. So that is elastic potential energy converted to linear kinetic energy. The toy car moves and hits the can. That is linear kinetic energy to linear kinetic energy. And the can moves, causing weight to fall, is gravitational potential energy to linear kinetic energy. Okay, Alex will explain the second part.
Okay, so the weight causes the pulley to move the wooden ramp up, which is linear kinetic energy. And then the wooden ramp makes the ball roll forward, which is gravitational potential energy into rolling kinetic energy. And then the ball hits the upside down water bottle, which is rolling kinetic energy, into linear kinetic energy. And the bottle falls down, causing the little wooden flap to go up, and then that releases the marble, which is linear kinetic energy and the gravitational potential energy into rolling kinetic energy, and then the rolling kinetic energy into the linear kinetic energy. Yeah. So then the marble basically keeps repeating the cycle. It just rolls, which is rolling potential energy, then gravitational potential energy, and it just does that a couple times. Then it falls out of the funnel and it hits the stationary car, which is rolling kinetic energy and the gravitational potential energy into linear kinetic energy, and then the car rolls down the track, which is gravitational potential energy into linear kinetic energy. Okay, so then the tape measure hits the bowling pins, and then the bowling pin hits the other bowling pin, and then the last bowling pin hits the basketball, which is from the tape measure to the bowling pin, it's linear kinetic energy to linear kinetic energy, and then linear kinetic energy transforming into linear kinetic energy, and then the last bowling pin hitting the basketball is linear kinetic energy into rotational kinetic energy. and the basketball falls off the ping pong table, and that's rotational kinetic energy and the gravitational potential energy into linear kinetic energy. And the basketball hits the first textbook, which is linear kinetic energy into gravitational potential energy, and then into rotational kinetic energy. And then the textbook hits the second textbook, which is linear kinetic energy and the gravitational kinetic energy, or potential energy, into rotational kinetic energy. And then the second textbook hits the stapler and staples a report, which is rotational kinetic energy into gravitational potential energy into linear kinetic energy. Then.
That is linear kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy converted to rolling kinetic energy. So when the lever, oh my god. Okay, Alex will explain the second.
Okay. After the weight falls, which is linear. No,